Let me just say, dude, I met Oscar Piastri this week.
You did.
I said, congratulations. And I literally said these words. I said, I did a podcast with your mom. He just goes, I know who you are. Don't worry. He said, don't worry, I know who you are. And that's all he said.
The F1 25 rankings came out, dude. We have to discuss. Oscar Piastri had an 87 in 8th place.
Oscar Piastri at 87 is a war crime. It's a war crime.
Ollie Oaks out. Everyone's scratching their head. What's this about? What the hell's going on?
Who knew he was this nerdy looking guy was so interesting?
Dude,
I didn't know.
I'm like, he's so much cooler in my book right now.
I'm a red flag heavy hitter. I'm a mailman, baby.
What's up, bikers?
Hello, Bankers.
How is everybody doing?
How are you doing? We got big news. This is crazy. This is a news episode, which normally is like, all right, what are we even going to talk about? But dude, the situation last week happened. Jack Doohan out, Franco Colapinto in. Sure, we saw that kind of coming. But what we didn't see coming, Ollie Oaks out. Everyone's scratching their head. What's this about? What the hell's going on?
Who knew he was this nerdy looking guy was so interesting?
Dude,
I didn't know.
I'm like, he's so much cooler in my book right now.
I feel so robbed of this information. Now he's gone just when it started getting good. I mean, it's really tough. I can't believe he resigned. Like, dude.
Yeah.
Flavio ran the entire team as a fugitive, okay, from Italy, okay? The fact that he resigned from Italy because it was the fact that he resigned from Alpine because it would be a bad look, like, why? Because could you imagine Flavio's like, look, I can't really be associated with you. This is a bad look for me. Are you kidding me? Flavio has a lifetime ban. He was a fugitive from Italy. I mean, have you ever heard of working? Have you ever heard of Zoom? He can't run this team remote. Like, who cares? I mean, Vijay Malaya was a fugitive.
Right.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, we can get past this.
And
if
we'll
anything,
see
this adds to his allure.
Yeah, and we'll see what ultimately comes out in the
Innocent till proven guilty.
And right now, he's done seemingly he's in the clear.
Business as usual.
Right.
I thought this was America. What are you doing?
I don't know. We're going to get into all of it. We got so much to cover in this episode, Matt. This is the Red Flags brought to you by BetMGM. We're going to be talking all things Alpine, Ollie Oaks. We're going to be talking Carlos Sainz Sr.'s run for FIA President. You know, these F1 25 video game rankings, which are crazy, and fan questions, among many others. But let's start, obviously, with this. This is the news of the week. Ollie Oaks resigns. Questions around it. They insist it has nothing to, it happens to be the same week that they're kicking out Doohan, but they're like, has nothing to do with that, nothing to do with that. Then the news comes out. William Oaks, his brother, who works for High Tech, is arrested carrying cash, baby. Straight cash, homie.
Transferring criminal. They charged him with transferring criminal property. And I looked into this.
It's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good. And then Ollie to our knowledge right now, has no direct connection to this. However, he has a very strong tangential connection to this. It's his brother and his former company. Yeah. He's not anything yet, but it doesn't look great. And, I don't know. I kind of felt like, in a bad way, F1 was past this, I thought,
I'm so happy. We're so back, Ryan.
We're so
back.
It's like the shady behavior is the shady business dealings are continuing to persist. It's like, it's Netflix, it's squeaky, it's clean, it's corporate, it's Las Vegas, it's global, it's America.
Las Vegas. You almost said Las Vegas.
I was about to say Las Vegas and I fucking bit my tongue. But even Las Vegas these days, it's like, it's not what it used to be. Like it's Cirque du Soleil, and it's
Blue
built
Man
for
Group,
families
right.
now, way more than it used to be. So even
Yeah.
Las Vegas doesn't have the same stank on it that it used to. This is a classic old school F1 behavior and association that I'm loving.
Yeah, and I want this guy.
I'm loving it.
I want this guy to run Cadillac.
Yeah, get him in there, dude.
Get him in there. I mean, this guy seems fucking cool.
Yeah, dude. You look
And
at
again,
think,
this is where these guys belong. They belong here,
yes.
right? They, what do you'd rather him be running the Fed or pensions, right? Let these guys be in Formula One, because otherwise there goes your 401k. So
yeah,
that's what I think. So I'm happy to have guys using their cunning for my entertainment. Look, I'm disappointed that he stepped down.
Right.
I really was hoping he pulled a DiCaprio.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense because I was like, what is he gonna? He's gonna throw it all away for doing? He's going to take a fucking... You work your whole life to get to Formula One, and then Flavio's like, I want to get rid of doing, and you just fall on your sword for that. It didn't make sense. That's why when there were rumors that he might get the Red Bull job, like, well, maybe that's it. Because why would he get rid of one of the 10 team principal jobs for Jack Doohan? And then I'm like, okay, this makes more sense. The other fucked up thing that we learned is that Flavio is Doohan's manager.
Yeah,
just gets crazier and crazier. This is the best.
It'd be your own people, dude. It'd be your own people. It'd be your own people.
The call's coming from inside the house.
Well, we were also wondering, because when this came out, it was like, are there tensions between Ollie Oaks and Flavio? Like, Ollie Oaks reportedly really liked Doohan, and Flavio was out on him, and all this stuff. And if there's any person that will get Ollie Oaks back in Formula One when the fucking debris clears from this situation, it's Flavio. So who knows? We might have
Ollie Oaks will be running Ferrari in 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is awesome. I'm really glad we got to see something like this in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm really glad Flavio is back. You know what really sucks? You know what also really sucks? Is Jack Doohan got 24 hours tops of sympathy before this story just completely
overshadowed it.
Like, who cares? This is so much more interesting.
Totally.
This is so much this is so much more because I think Doohan, the news cycle we could have stretched a week out of Doohan. Did he deserve to get fired? I don't think so. I think they were a little rash.
Right.
This, that, and the other thing. Yeah, it's a cutthroat business. I think he deserved a little more time. Blah, blah, blah. But now it's just like, what is going on with this? Holy shit. You know what's also awesome?
What was the timeline of this whole thing? Because I think the brother got arrested like a few days before any of this went down. Yeah, so on May 1st, William Oaks is stopped in Silverstone Park. On May 2nd, so May 1st is...
over a week ago.
That's Thursday. That's the day that we're in. That's the day that we were in the paddock. So May 1st, he's stopped in Silverstone Park with the cash. On May 2nd, he's charged and appears in court, and he remained in custody on May 3rd. So, like, this was all going down over the Miami week,
and no one was talking about it. And then he resigns this is probably all public record at this point,
right?
Like, I don't know how the UK works, but if you get brought in on charges, that's available to the public. It's just because nobody gives a shit about William Oaks. Like, as unassuming as Ollie Oaks is, multiply that by 1,000.
There's so much going on, dude. I mean, the guys were kicking field goals. They did the Lego race. I watched the 15-minute F1 YouTube version of their Lego race. I've never seen people laugh. It's 15 minutes of every single F1 driver just going like, And everyone's just like, manja, 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 manja. Yes, yes, look how much fun they're having. Look how Miami's so amazing. Look at all the celebrities. Oh my God, the red flags are there. Yuki Tsunoda, Emily Ratajkowski, this, that, there. And then, like, meanwhile, fucking in Silverstone, this guy's getting arrested and Ollie Oaks' fucking, life is falling apart. It's so old school. And I love the dichotomy of kind of like the new age F1 with Miami and all of the, cookie corporate, cutter, clean corporate vibes. And then meanwhile, like downtown, this is what's really going on. It's beautiful. What's kind of interesting that's come out in the wake of the Doohan news, beyond the Ollie Oaks stuff, just the dropping Doohan for Colapinto. If you want to hear our full instant reactions to that, you can join the Patreon. We did our full knee-jerk reactions to that whole thing, diving into that for like an hour. But what's come into clarity is that it seems like Flavio was playing the Argentinian donors. He was really kind of like playing the room because he had said that Doohan was going to be in there until the summer break. Like he had heavily implied that, if not said that outright. Doohan's our guy. We'll reassess later, way down in August. And apparently that was maybe to put pressure on Colapinto's backers to like cough up more cash.
Right.
So within, Flavio just saying shit. He's just, you can just say shit. You can just say whatever you want. That's not a binding contract. I just said something to a reporter. It got out there. Colapinto's backers were like, all right, we'll throw, 10 million more, 20 million, however much it was. Let's put him in the seat now. So Flavio played that like a, sweet little fiddle.
Yeah, that also speaks to the state of the sport where people are paying to drive. Like people are paying to compete in the sport as opposed to being paid to compete.
Right.
What does that say about the overall health of the product?
I think that there was like this vibe where, that's something that they used to have to do because F1 wasn't profitable, and like now that F1's so popular, like we don't have to do that anymore. We don't need pay drivers anymore. Well, clearly there's still a desire and a need for some pay drivers. Now, it might be Franco Colapinto, who people like, who people think is talented, but a pay driver nonetheless.
Yeah, I think I guess we're just not at the level where the incentive to win is so much higher than the incentive to just accept money from the highest bidder. I don't think we're there yet.
No.
Because we just can't be. Because that's the only way to correct it, where like you will get so fucked if you come in last place, or you will get so fucked if you don't maximize the car, that you just have to try to get the best possible driver. Now, Franco might actually be the best possible driver. I mean, it's arguable. I mean, who is actually the best possible driver? It's
of the young crop. It's him. I mean, I think it's tied between him, Paul Aaron, and Doohan. Those three are of the young guns. If you want a young gun, but if you want
and if all things are being equal, but it's like all things being equal, it's like, well, who's got money?
Right. I don't think that the talent gap between those three guys is that significant that it outdoes. Okay, well, I bring a ton of sponsorship and financial backing. That's going to outweigh whatever thousandth of a second Paul Aaron maybe has on Franco Colapinto.
Right.
If he even does. Then the other option is you try to get a vet. You try to get someone who is either a reserve. You try to lure away a Valtteri Bottas. You try to lure a Checo. There's Carlos Slim and is apparently having discussions with Flavio. Who knows if that's if Checo's involved in that, if Checo's related to that. There were rumors that Checo was going to be announced to be the Cadillac driver in Miami. That did not happen. This Alpine team is going to have the Mercedes engine next year. They actually might be, next year, from what people are projecting, We'll see what actually happens. There might be the four teams that have the Mercedes engine might have a huge leg up, and it might be like this 4-horse race as to who can actually make the most out of this engine advantage that the Mercedes seem to have. So Alpine, Pierre Gasly was in the press saying he's going to be fighting for a championship next year. So this actually might be like, it's a chaotic time and for this team that might be on the precipice of something actually really good. Because they've had this Renault engine for years that's just been a step behind everyone else. What would it be like if they actually had an engine that was competitive?
Yeah, Guenther was saying that it'll take a few years that Mercedes will have an advantage over the other teams because they just get the engine in a box and they have to figure out how to place it in the chassis. Whereas the works team, they work hand in glove with the chassis department so that the engine fits perfectly into the chassis, and they're working together. And he was saying like the reason why McLaren's so good now is because the engine is frozen, and the the McLaren can eventually get the chassis where it needs to be, so Mercedes' advantage, that advantage that they had in the beginning of the reg set, is now nullified. But I think what Guenther was saying is that early on he doubts that like the McLarens and the Alpines are going to be able to compete with Mercedes. They're going to just have a head start because their engine's going to be a perfect fit.
Sure, but even in that case, let's even take that and expand on it. Let's say Mercedes from the get is way quicker. Sure. That still leaves second place and third place potentially open if Ferrari's engine's a big step behind, if the Honda engine's not there, and if the Red Bull engine's not there, then all of a sudden maybe Alpine is challenging for wins and challenging for podiums and challenging to get second place in the constructors. That would be still huge for a team like this.
Why do I just lack the imagination to see that happening?
Well, I don't think it'll happen with them given their track record and history, but the opportunity is there, and not with.
I'm saying in a vacuum, it's possible.
It is possible.
I'm saying not in this universe, but in a universe, it is possible.
Well, in maybe next year's universe, if this Mercedes engine is that much better, but they'll be going up against McLaren and Williams, who right now seem to be humming in every other way. So. It's just, it's an inopportune time for such chaos to be happening at a team that actually has a big opportunity in 2026.
If it is true that their chassis seems to be pretty good, while everything else about them just doesn't seem to be working at an optimal level. They have so much management turnover. They lost Oscar Piastri.
Right.
That should just be mentioned every single day. Oscar Piastri should be on that team. He's now leading the Drivers' Championship. Their engine's down on power. They've had 9 WDC. They've had 9 million managers in the past 3 years.
Yeah. But I do think, and I said this on the Patreon, I think that Flavio coming in is actually kind of the right guy to just quit with the Michigas. I think he's the right guy to just be like, this is what we're doing. This is the direction that we're heading. You kind of need someone who can just be steering this ship because they've had too many cooks in the kitchen. I think that they've finally found a chef who's ready to tell everyone else to shut the fuck up. This is what we're doing, and now follow the game plan. So we'll see if Flavio can turn it around. As much as a checkered guy that he is, he's had a lot of success in this game. A lot of success in this game.
Yeah. What is it? 4 titles? Yeah.
Yeah.
4 titles.
Vankas, this episode is brought to you by BetMGM. Come see what's new at BetMGM. Score bigger when you win with boost tokens, odd boost tokens, and more. Even if your bet doesn't hit, we've got you covered with no sweat tokens. Sign up with BetMGM today and you'll have access to countless betting options, including new look, same game parlays, teasers, live bets, and so much more. Take advantage of these offerings and be sure to use the bonus code DADDY when signing up to receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet loses. This is an exciting season. Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, who's going to finish, who's going to win each race, where's Yuki Tsunoda going to wind up? You can bet on all this with BetMGM, so do it today. Use the bonus code DADDY when signing up, and again, receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet loses. See you out there, Vegas.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 for New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 for Massachusetts. 21 and over only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP for Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF for Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 for Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Let's move on to the other big news story that's coming out this week. Carlos Sainz Sr. is reportedly thinking about running for the FIA President job.
Another rally legend.
Yeah, that's right.
Two rally legends running against each other.
Mohammed bin Salam and Carlos Sainz Sr. Hey, they have the same job. They've got the same qualifications, don't they? I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, obviously there's a conflict of interest element to this whole thing, but where has there not? I mean, this sport is just, it's so incestuous. There's a million conflict of interest everywhere you go. So what are your thoughts on this situation?
You're bad at your job when you're bad at your job when the guy running against you has a son that's in the sport, and you're like, well, whatever. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally, like, MBS is so bad at his job that Carlos Sainz Sr. might run the FIA, and I'm the prospect of that. I'm like, sure.
Right.
Sure. I don't care. So he'll be biased towards his son. And I'm not even saying it won't happen. I'm like, yeah, he'll be biased towards his son.
Right.
But it'll be better than what we have.
Yes.
So Williams will get a ton of advantages. It's going to be better. Right. That is going to be better than what we currently have. I would rather have, and I'm not even a Carlos Sainz Jr. fan.
Right.
The last thing that I want in the world is for him to get all these advantages. A guy that's his whole life has been advantages. Just his dad has been making his life so much easier through superior genetics.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Look at that hair. Look at those looks. Look how hot he is currently as an old man. Okay. Right. Look at all the genetics. I mean, if Carlos Sainz
beyond reflexes, just hot,
just hotness, just pure hotness. I would want to have Carlos Sr. as just a sperm donor, but then he stuck around and then managed his whole fucking career. Yeah. Now you're telling me he's a great father, managed every step of his son's career. Okay, Formula Renault 3.0 isn't going to work. We got to switch to 3.5. Getting him in with the Red Bull Junior program, even though he wasn't that great a prospect, because he was at Red Bull, like sticking, like kind of a little bit Yuki Tsunoda, right? Just getting the reps in until he was actually good, and now Carlos Sainz is a very good driver, but it was because he had a father that believed in him and stuck with him and helped him gain every opportunity. Nurtured him. Now he's going to get even more opportunities because his father is going to be the fucking head referee. He's going to get and then when some crazy result's going to happen, like that there's going to be a situation where he qualifies, he puts it on pole, and there's going to be a little rain, and his father's going to be like, "It's unsafe."
Yeah.
It's unsafe. And start the count. And it's going to be like a George Russell situation. Remember when George Russell got like a podium in a Williams because
right.
It was like the Spa. He's going to do one of those, and Carlos Sainz fans are going to go apeshit and be like, you see? And they're going to ignore all the advantages that he's had his whole life. Even with all of that, I'm voting for it.
Right.
I don't get a vote, but I would vote for it because I think in every other way, besides the clear conflict of interest, he's going to be better than MBS. I mean, the conflict of interest for MBS is that he's a fucking narcissist. That's his conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Is he's so interested in being fucking seen and heard And it's like if a tree falls in the woods and I'm not there to take a selfie next to it, do I even exist? That's his conflict of interest.
What was I made for, dude?
Yeah, what was I made for?
Billie Eilish, dude.
So he commands respect.
Yeah.
Like people respect him. Like who the fuck respects this guy?
No, I mean everyone respects Carlos Sainz Sr. There's also, but here's I guess a thought that I have. The assumption is that Carlos is going to get advantages, that the conflict of interest will be there, but he's going to be looking out for his son always. Part of me thinks that will be the case. Also, part of me thinks that he might be like, when the dad coaches the team and he's extra hard on his son. It's like, no, I'm benching you. Like there's still like a fatherly element to that. I could potentially see Carlos Sainz Sr. as a man of integrity, which I believe that he is, almost overcorrecting.
You're out of your fucking mind. I really think you're wrong. I think you're.
I'm not sure. I'm not saying this with my full chest. I just think it's a question to me whether he'll be aware of the conflict of interest and so in some ways maybe overcorrect in order to not fuck up his own legacy, or will he be on that Chris Cuomo? I'm helping my brother out and texting him, and then I get fired from CNN. Because this could fuck up his legacy if he.
Well, I mean, look at the Balestra. I don't think he's going to do anything egregious. I think he's too crafty and too smart for that.
Right.
I don't think I'm kind of being. It might shock you guys to listen. I'm exaggerating when I think he's going to do
hyperbolic.
Like a spa thing. I'm being hyperbolic, right? But I think if it's a 50-50 ball where it could go either way. It's like, this wing will make Williams fast, and if I outlaw it, it'll make them slow, and I could just decide one. There are a lot of these regulations, right? Where it's discretionary. You can decide one way or another. It's like, are you going to allow the widget or not?
Right.
And if I allow the widget, my son is champion. If I don't allow the widget, my son is not championship. Which way do you think he's going to go? I'm going to disallow the widget, and my son's not going to be champion? It just kind of seems impossible.
But it just needs to be a pure 50-50 ball. I could just see, like, this guy, I think, also cares deeply about the legacy. So it's going to be a difficult situation.
What would be better for his legacy than his son winning a championship, Brian?
Well, if he gets accused and all of a sudden he's, like, fired from the FIA and he ruins his own legacy in pursuit of his son becoming champion, that's what would potentially ruin that legacy.
Yeah, it's just tough, man. I think sometimes, even with the Chris Cuomo thing, I don't even know if he knew he was being wrong. Like, he's just like, they're just in their own bubble and they don't even know they're doing anything wrong. He's just like, no, I can be I could report the news and be a good brother. Like he probably thought he could do that.
Right.
He probably thought, I could read this fucking teleprompter and be in the war room with my brother. But an objective, rational person was like, dude, you can't.
Right.
You can't do that. So.
And it's a little bit more intense than Jean Todt taking over. Well, I don't, it's like he worked.
No,
for
Jean
Ferrari,
Todt's brother was, Jean Todt's son was also like a manager. I mean, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Gross. Not gross. It wasn't that insane.
Well, he had Ferrari and he had his son managing, people like Charles Leclerc.
Well, Jean Todt used to run Ferrari.
Right.
So, there's a conflict of interest right there. Stefano Domenicali runs fucking F1.
Right.
Used to work for Ferrari. I mean, this world is kind of riddled with conflicts of interest.
Right. So you want someone who you believe will have enough integrity to at least, treat every situation as objectively as possible. Now, the question is Carlos Sainz Sr. that guy? Because, and will if he really has the opportunity, I don't report this and I do report that and I do ban this, but I don't ban that. Could he Frankenstein his son up enough of an advantage where he can really, potentially be a WDC champion? I don't think
he has that much influence. I'm not saying he's going to do that. I'm saying if it's 6 of one, half of the dozen of the other, and he could push his son one way or another. if Williams has a pretty damn good car and his son's in the race, and I'm saying there's this decision like some fucking wing or some diffuser or one of these things, and I think it can affect
his main rival's McLaren, but they've got the flexi wing. Okay, so are we not outlawing it, or are we outlaw? It's like that's the ways that it comes into play. It's like
let's say
Williams is gunning for a championship, and they say X team that's in front of us is doing this thing that's illegal. Hey, look into it, FIA. Okay, I'll look into it.
Williams was that like a great example was 94. Williams was that bitch in 91, 92, 93 because they had the traction control and the FIA was like, no more traction control. And then Williams was nowhere. Yeah. And because Flavio Briatore was probably still using traction control, they started winning. Probably. Yeah. Allegedly. So if you sub in Carlos Sainz for Ayrton Senna in 94 and Carlos Sainz Sr. is in charge, is he going to outlaw traction control?
Right.
Is he going to outlaw traction control, or is he going to let his son have traction control? Because then he's an automatic champion.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if he can do it, how serious he is about it. I mean, the election process is like completely convoluted and complicated, and apparent and really benefits the person who's already in the seat. It's very difficult to overthrow someone and actually win an election when the person running against you is not stepping down.
Right. He also changed the age limits. Like, it's so corrupt. Like, there was a guy that was going to challenge him, and MBS was like, "Well, you actually have to be over 60." Like, that's such a dumb rule because the guy, there was a challenger that was under 60, like shit like that. But but Sainz is like the same age as MBS, so that's not a problem.
Right.
But yeah, he could do dumb shit like that to make it harder. But what I'm saying is, even with this conflict of interest, even with the cringe factor of having to deal with Sainz winning 4 WDCs, even with all that, I'd rather have that. I'd rather have it.
Yeah.
This guy, I hate this guy so much.
Venkers, if you are constantly on the move or just tired of skipping meals, Huel has you covered. And they are today's sponsor, spelled Huel, and their Black Edition ready-to-drink drink is a total game changer. Currently, I got the iced coffee right here. It is delicious, and it's got everything that I need if I'm on the move. I'm feeling like I need some say it with me, fuel. I got my Huel in my bag, ready to drink. And it's a complete meal in one bottle. 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, high fiber, low sugar. So you feel full, focused, and ready for your day. No prep, no cleanup, just grab and go. Huel is already sold over 500 million meals across the world, and now they're ready for you to try it. New customers get 15% off plus free gift at Huel.com when you use my code REDFLAGS. So don't miss out and try it today. I love this stuff. If I'm on the go, it's especially useful, but, sometimes I'm not crazy hungry in the morning, so I'll start my morning with this, and it'll keep me fueled up and ready to go throughout my day, keeps me ready to do this podcast and give you the piping hot takes that we know that you love. So once again, new customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use my code REDFLAGS. That's 15% off plus a free gift for new customers using my exclusive code REDFLAGS at Huel.com. Please see our description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled. I am with you. The other thing that came out, let's talk about it. The F1 25 rankings came out, dude. We have to discuss these rankings.
Do we have to discuss it? Because at this point, I really think that they know what they're doing. They're doing it because they want guys like you and me. It's free advertising.
Yeah.
Like, you and I we should talk about it, and we should send them a fucking invoice because this is ridiculous. And it's just talking about it. It's like what they want us to talk about how dumb it is. It's free publicity.
Well, there's one thing that's absolutely correct, which is that Lando Norris is second in the skills category, dude.
All right,
if you haven't seen it, Max Verstappen appropriately in the number one slot with an overall ranking of 95. Now, below him in slots 2 and 3 are Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc, who they are now considering the second and third best drivers in F1 with a 91 overall.
91. Yeah.
George Russell is in fourth with a 90, who's also tied with Carlos Sainz, who also has a 90. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit crazy.
This is where it gets stupid.
George Russell should be at least in the 91 slot with Lando and Charles. Look at what he's doing this year. Should absolutely be there. And Carlos Sainz Jr. ahead of Lewis Hamilton, which I honestly, right now, I'm not even that mad about that. People are like in arms about that. I'm not even that mad about that right now. But Oscar Piastri had an 87 in 8th place.
Oscar Piastri at 87 is a war crime. It's a war crime. It's a crime against humanity.
If you look at the actual rankings here,
I don't care about that. Well, then the breakdown is wrong.
He got fucked by his experience, which is at a 72. His racing number is higher than Lando's. His pace number is lower than Lando's. And his awareness is higher than Lando's. I'm not really sure what awareness means, but he's got high. So he's actually beating Lando in 2 of the categories, but they've dinged him for experience. But Oscar Piastri is clearly not.
He should be a 91 or higher. He should be at least a 91. He should be at least a 91.
The rest of this, I'm not even that mad at. I think Alexander Albon is ranked comically low with an 83
overall. Is criminal from Albon. Criminal. Considering how close he and Sainz are this year, I know that Sainz is taking a while to get. Okay, here's what I think. Okay, so Max 95, solid. Lando 91. That's
I don't even hate a 91. It's just the fact that there's no one above that. I think that Oscar Piastri.
Who do you think should be above?
I think that George Russell should be above. I think that Lando should be at 90. I think that Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Oscar Piastri should be 91s, 92s.
I think all right, so we put Lando at 90. We put I think Carlos Sainz is an 89.
I agree.
Don't think he's a 90.
I agree.
I think Lewis Hamilton 89 is kind of generous this year.
I think he's appropriately 89. At 89 right now. I think that's what because he's got I think that's, I don't take qualms with that. Fernando Alonso being at 88 right now, that I take even more qualms with, given his performance this year so far.
I love that Alonso is a 99 experience and Lewis Hamilton is a 98.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lewis just doesn't have quite the same level of experience.
Right. Our King Tsunoda's in there at an 82. Yuki's at an 82. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's the biggest troll in the whole thing. I mean, he's obviously a 90. He's obviously 90, a fucking 90.
96 maybe above Max Verstappen. No, I think the 82 to 85 range for Yuki feels appropriate. I don't hate that. The rest of this list I'm not even that mad at, but then they have Isaac Hadjar in 20th with a 68 overall.
Yeah,
Kimi Antonelli in 19th. This is crazy. Isaac Hadjar in 20th with a 68 overall. Kimi Antonelli in 19th with a 72 overall. Jack Doohan in 18th with a 73 overall. Gabriel Bortoleto with a 74 overall. And Ollie Behrman with a 74. So Kimi Antonelli is below Jack Doohan, Gabriel Bortoleto, and Ollie Behrman apparently in this scenario, which is
I just don't know why they're getting Gabriel Bortoleto 74 and Hadjar 68.
Yeah, no idea.
Also, why does Jack Doohan have one more point of experience over Kimi Antonelli? Where is this extra point? I guess it's age and testing. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I guess. But we know that Kimi's had a ton of time in that car.
Yeah, but he's 12, so I get that.
But he's
12.
But he's
Hadjar and Kimi should be. Sorry, Hadjar should be at the top of this thing. Hadjar should be 74.
Right.
Kimi I don't get how Hadjar's at the bottom. He's been one of the best rookies.
Doohan should be at the bottom. Bortoletto should also be at the bottom, and Kimi, Hadjar, and Bierman should be above them. And once you get there, I don't really care.
And Liam at 80, Liam's been very bad this year.
Yeah,
very bad.
Yes,
he has not been good.
Liam getting some inflation with that 80 overall right now. So yeah, I mean that's the deal with that. Some craziness. The biggest thing. Oscar Piastri at 87, insulting.
Insane, 87.
Given what's happening right now.
1 point ahead of Pierre Gasly.
Yeah. But Isaac Hadjar, dude, did you see Mr. Helmut Marko said that Isaac Hadjar is a future WDC winner, dude?
Well, it doesn't mean shit because he said he was a bitch and a crybaby like 3 weeks ago. So.
I mean, beautiful how far we've come from he's crying, hey, he doesn't have what it takes, guy's fucking weak, guy's a fucking loser, to this was the quote, but Hadjar is, as far as I'm concerned, the revelation of this first phase of the World Championship. He didn't know most circuits, but he's always fast from the start and made few mistakes apart from the opening round in Melbourne.
Where he cried where he cried.
Yeah, we cried because he's meant to.
He brought shame upon his family and his ancestors.
Yeah, so that's the fucking deal. Before we get to our fan questions, a couple other things of note. Did you see that there's this little cheeky gameplay happening between Zak Brown and the Red Bull team? This is such a Zak Brown thing to do. That he was drinking on the pit wall. He was drinking a bottle that had marked on it. It said tire water.
Yeah, you want to hear something embarrassing?
Yeah.
I didn't get it. I was like, oh, ew, is he drinking from like, because I remember when I was a kid, when I was like 16, I saw some water laying about, and I drank from it, and it was bong water.
Ooh.
You know, you drink water that's not the right water.
Yeah.
I stupidly thought that was the wrong water and he was making a boo-boo.
Yeah. And they were like, don't drink this water, Zach. Don't drink this water. I remember one time we used to, when we would make bacon at the house, we would pour the bacon grease into like a plastic cup and it would sit on the counter and kind of solidify because you don't want to pour it down the drain because it'll, clog up your pipes. And then one time I walked by when I was a kid and to me it looked like Coca-Cola. And I went to go drink the bacon grease, and luckily I smelled it and stopped myself and was like, "Oh my god!" I almost just drank straight up bacon grease. Which
all right. Now I gotta ratchet it up.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I got really sick and I couldn't leave. I had some kind of fever or something, and I just couldn't. I couldn't leave. So I had an empty can of soda. So I just peed in the can and passed back up in the middle of the night. And then I woke up 6 hours later and I was thirsty. And I was so and I drank my own pee, Brian.
Oh.
And I just spit it everywhere. It was even worse. I just peed all over my dorm room.
Ooh.
So anyway, as a guy
we should have done the Guenther Gen Z brain rot phrases with that, dude.
As someone has drank, and also, dude, I've drank alcohol by accident.
Right.
I'm sober.
Right.
I'm like, this is definitely a glass of water, and it's fucking gin.
Right.
Which is what they told me at relapse. Which they told me in rehab was a free lapse. She's like, you didn't mean to, so you get to be drunk by accident. It doesn't count as a relapse. So the point of the story is, as someone who's gone their whole life imbibing things by accident, that's what I thought it was. But then everyone's like, no, this is so funny because of that obscure technical regulation that they were accused of skirting 4 weeks ago because of using the tire vapor. It's so funny. You know what it is? It's one of these political jokes.
Right.
When you watch a Jon Stewart joke, Jon Stewart. I like Jon Stewart a lot, but sometimes he's making jokes and I feel like, people are laughing because they want to show that they get it.
Right, sure.
It's like people are laughing performatively at this joke because it's like, I get it. I get the joke because I'm so smart and I'm so hip to the maneuvering,
the ins and outs,
the machinations of F1.
Right. What's funnier to me,
and it's really not that funny.
It's not funny to me that Zak Brown, like, oh, he got him. Oh, sick burn. What's funny to me is that, like, Zak Brown, like, thought to himself, yeah, this will be funny. And he made some intern or he made some person make him this water bottle because he's the new Christian Horner. He's always on the he's always talking to the broadcast. And he was like, yeah, this will be good. I love the whole scenario of Zak Brown thinking of this, making someone make it for him, getting so excited and ready to like show it off. And then, say it on the broadcast. That's the series of events. It's so boomer. It's okay boomer vibes.
Yeah. You know what I really hope happens? I really hope that Max needs to turn this around, win the championship, and then make a bottle and call it Lando Tears.
Yeah. Yeah.
And drink from that bottle.
Yeah.
Because you could fill the Nile with the amount of enough tears to fill the Nile. What's the Gal Gadot?
enough champagne to fill the Nile.
Enough Lando tears to fill the Nile. That's what will happen if he could turn this around.
Absolutely. Vankers, when I started this podcast, I thought I was going to have to do it all on my own. Now, luckily, I had Matt and Jenny, but we needed a little bit more help, and that's where Shopify came into play. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. Not like us anymore because we're established. We love Shopify here at the Red Flags, our merch store, which sells our perfect merch, including this perfect t-shirt we should buy right now at theredflagspod.com. Guess what? That website and that store is run through Shopify, and you can turn your business idea into cha-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/redflags. Go to shopify.com/redflags. Once again, shopify.com/redflags and get started today. All right, we've got a few fan questions. All right.
Hello, Vankas. This is Evelyn, and I have a question pertaining to Max Verstappen becoming a dad, Big Daddy. What kind of parent do you think each of the drivers would be? I'd love to know. Even if they're not dads right now, what kind of parent do you think they'd be?
She sounds way too smart. She sounds way too well-spoken and articulate to be a fan of us, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What kind of dads would these because there's only two dads on the grid right now. There's Nico
and Max.
And Max. Those are the only two dads we got. Charles Leclerc would be obviously like the most emotional dad. Crying at everything that when dad's just like, there's just a dad who's always crying like anytime you do anything. It's like, beyond I dropped you off at college, it's like the dance like every milestone that you hit, he's
crying.
He's a mess.
He is a mess. Oh, yeah. Those the gushers at the weddings.
Yeah,
he's a gusher at the wedding.
He gonna gush.
If he's got a daughter, if he has a daughter, he's not making it halfway down that aisle.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a fucking puddle.
Yeah. Also, I wonder, what's interesting. So, like, there was that trend where it's like, look at how hot my parents used to be. Because sometimes you get like some sneaky, you see some pictures you see people, time evens everything out for a lot of people. And then you see a picture of them when they're like 24. And you're like, oh my God, look how hot you guys were. I wonder if Leclerc
like Jenny's parents.
Yeah. It's lots of parents. You just like you see them, then they're young. I could see Leclerc like come 60, kind of not really having can't hit the hotness fastball like he used to, and then their friends being like, "Oh my God, your dad was so hot back in the day," and they're like, "What?" ew, no. And then you like see a picture, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The more boyish looking ones, they tend to struggle more.
Carlos Sainz is going to look great when he's older.
Carlos Sainz is going to be fine.
When you have those strong features, but when those translate well to older.
The guys that look like
older.
Like look at Mark Webber.
Yes.
The guys who like are really kind of masculine looking when they're young, they age usually.
Yeah, then you look at Mark Webber, you look at Sebastian Vettel, you know what I mean? Like this is answers itself.
Yeah.
Oscar Piastri as a dad.
It's interesting. I was reading this article about a Japanese man who didn't speak to his wife for 20 years.
Okay.
They got into an argument, and his pride was hurt, and they did not speak for 20 years. and they had multiple children.
Yeah.
And who never heard their parents speak to each other. But he was a very present father, and he was always there. He just didn't speak. And they co-parented and stayed together. And I forgot that I don't know the name of it. I don't know the name of it, but there is a culture of like a Japanese husband finally talks to his wife after giving her the silent treatment for 20 years. A Japanese man made headlines in 2017 after ending a 20-year silence with his wife. And they also lived together the entire time.
Crazy.
A marriage without words. Otu Katayama stopped speaking to his wife, Yumi, after feeling she gave him more... This is savage. After feeling she gave more attention to their children than to him.
Oh.
So Yumi continued... I'm like, that is some frivolous-ass grounds.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, I was on board until the reasons.
Yeah.
Though Yumi continued trying to talk to him, Otu only responded with nods or grunts. Despite the silence, the couple stayed together and had another child and maintained their home, all without verbal communication. The couple's children grew up never hearing a single conversation between their parents. Honestly, I would have preferred that sometimes.
Yeah. In some homes, that's not so bad. You know what I mean?
Honestly, didn't need to hear all the conversations between my parents. Their son Yoshiki, then 18, said he had never once seen them talk, a silence that defined their family life. Eventually, he reached out to a Japanese TV show for help. Are we? Oh my
God, not Japanese Dr. Phil.
Why it resonates. While shocking to outsiders, the story resonated deeply in Japan, where emotional restraint and avoiding confrontation are often seen as signs of respect or maturity. The idea of the silent husband, emotionally withdrawn but physically present, is a familiar trope in many traditional households across Asia. Otu's actions were less...
he was respecting his wife by not talking to her for 20 years.
Exactly.
Cool.
Otu's actions were less about hostility and more about unresolved pride and hurt. Emotions that were never openly addressed. He remained a present parent, helping raise their kids and providing for the family, just without using words. I feel a lot of that could be like Oscar Piastri. Now, let me just say, dude, I met Oscar Piastri this week.
You did. Dude.
I met fucking Oscar Piastri.
Yes.
All right. I guess I should lay this. I should lay this out. Probably this is a decent story. Okay. So Guenther. So he's at our shitty Airbnb, and he's like, Matt, what airline are you flying? And he's triggering me. He's reminding me of my parents who are like, what times you fly?
Right.
When are you leaving? I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I look at the last minute and maybe I make the flight. That's how it goes. Okay.
Right.
So he's at the Airbnb. He goes, what time is your flight? I go, it's at 5:00. Okay. Jesus, it's 5:00. And I go, mine's at 7:00. We'll go together. I go, great, Guenther. That's awesome. We'll go together. No, I was genuinely chuffed to be going with him. That was, I was happy. I was like, I'll get to go with Guenther. This will be fun. But then he goes, and he's also like, you got to pack. We got to go. So I'm like packing. So I don't want to keep him waiting because I don't take it for granted. He's high status. I don't want him waiting on me. So I'm rushing to pack my shit. And he's like, what airline are you? I'm like, God damn it, Guenther. I'm packing. You want me to pack or you want me to look at my airline? I told you what flight. He goes, what airline are you? He's nagging about the airline. And then finally I look up. He goes, American. He goes, I wanted to know because I'm American too, and so is our intern, Daniela. We go executive lounge, flagship lounge. I go, okay. Yeah. I don't know what that is because I can't afford it, obviously. So we go, he goes, we're going to go to the flagship lounge. I go, okay, Guenther, I don't know what that is. So we're in a car on the way to the flagship lounge, and we're with the Uber driver, and it was funny because he was asking me about the Gen Z words that we were using.
Right.
And he's like, what is this skibbity toilet it is? And what is hook? He goes, what is hook too? And then the Uber driver started answering this 50-year-old Uber driver, and he's like, and it was so cringe, Brian. He was like, Hawk 2 is when you put a little extra on it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
So we get there, and I pay a little extra for priority because I want to get through quickly.
Right.
And I was like, and Yellow, like, figure it out. I bought priority. Meet me when you can meet me. And so I'm in the priority line, and then Yellow's like, I'm through. Where are you?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I got,
she has TSA pre-check.
She has TSA pre-check. I don't.
Yeah. Right.
So she's waiting for me. And Guenther had TSA pre-check. So Guenther texts me, I have TSA. He obviously doesn't text me in this voice. I just hear his voice when he texts me. He goes, I have TSA pre-check, so I am through. Let me know when you and Daniela are downstairs and I can let you up into executive lounge, flagship lounge. He goes, Oscar Piastri is here. It's like, oh, fuck. Because, okay, so now I've just let you guys know, Daniela is obsessed with Oscar Piastri. She worships Oscar Piastri. He is her, for all the Gen Z people that love Lando and how cute he is, for all the awkward, chronically online people who don't want to make eye contact with you, all the Gen Z kids who were really damaged by the pandemic, who were like, I don't know, really awkward, more comfortable on FaceTime than in real life. Like those people, they love Oscar Piastri. He is their queen.
Right. He is their god. He is
their god. They feel so seen by how awkward he is.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my God. So I am running. I am really trying to force my way through this. And I'm like, and Yellow, meet me at this gate. Meet me here. Meet me there. And she's like, what? Oh, okay. Why are you being, I was like, just shut up and meet me there. And I am running to meet her there. I'm running. I run there. We get there. I'm out of breath. I'm sweating because I want to get there in time for Oscar Piastri. I also want it to be a surprise, so I don't tell her. So we get into this. So we're looking for Guenther.
You're right.
We're like, where is in the executive? We're in the wrong lounge. There's a lounge above that lounge. There's two lounges. It's a flagship lounge. There's the lounge for rich people, and then there's the Illuminati lounge. We get to the Illuminati lounge, and then I see Guenther. I say, I go, Guenther's chilling. He says, I go, is Oscar still here? And she's like, and Yell's like, what? I was like, Oscar Piastri's there. And she's like, oh my God. and then, so I say, is Oscar still there? He goes, I don't know. Yeah. Go look. So I send Daniela. I say, Daniela, go look and see if Oscar's there. So she slinks over in her Charlie XCX shirt. She slinks over. She goes around the corner, looks, and she's like, he's there. Yeah, he's there. So Guenther goes, I will introduce you. I goes, I know Oscar long time, F2. So he gets up, we file behind him in single file, as he gangles down around, because he's where he doesn't want to, he's in the very back where to not be bothered, clearly.
Right.
So he goes, hello, Oscar. He shakes his hand, and then he introduces me and Daniela to Oscar, and I say, hi, Oscar. I want to say that I was cool, but I was like, I said, congratulations. And then I literally said these words. I said, I did a podcast with your mom.
Yeah.
Not an episode. I did a podcast. Like we were starting a whole
Right.
our own empire, which we totally should. By the way,
we could.
That
and it would do
we
numbers.
could. We do numbers. Just the Piastri, the Oscar's mom pod with Nicole, Matt, and Brian. And he just goes, I know who you are. Don't worry. He said, don't worry, I know who you are. And that's all he said. Don't worry, I know who you are.
Beautiful.
Maybe he sensed my word.
Assuaging your fears. I'm real. I'm a real person. I'm a real person. I'm a real boy.
I did a podcast with your mother. He goes, I know who you are. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I know who you are. I was also struck by how small he was. I was like, he's not short. He's just narrow.
They're all so skinny.
And then he took a picture with Daniela, and which she thought was disgusting and then wouldn't post. So I was angry about that. And then Oscar was like, and then Guenther was like, Oscar, I did the griddy. And then because for those of you on Instagram, we had done the griddy. It's like, holy shit, we had fucking done the griddy with Guenther. Like we have this thing with him.
An hour before this.
An hour before we had just done the griddy. And we hadn't posted it yet. So we're like, and then Guenther goes, show Oscar the griddy. And I go, oh my God. I am shaking at this point. I can't find it. I'm like, which thread is it? Because we have 9 different threads. I'm like,
right.
I was like, I'm checking our Vanka thread, which has me, you, Jenny on it, and a picture of Guenther, which we've had since before we even knew Guenther. I'm checking the picture. I'm checking the one with Daniela. and then it was like, oh fuck, it was just me and you. You just sent it to me and you.
Right.
So I pull it up, and I'm like, wow, Oscar's gonna love this.
Yeah,
it's Guenther doing the griddy, and I'm shaking, and I click it, and I'm like, and it's already tense. To show someone a video is kind of an aggressive move. To make someone watch a video, as someone who's been shown short films, showing someone a video is an aggressive move. So I literally
nothing will ruin the vibe of a date faster than you showing this girl that you want to like hook up with a YouTube video.
Yes.
Let this be a PSA to all men. Never show your girlfriend or a person that you are trying to be romantic with a YouTube video. They don't care, and it sucks.
Yeah. No, this girl is not going to think Shane Gillis is funny. I promise you. I promise you. Just
100%.
keep it with the boys.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I turn and I show it to him.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, he could not have cared less. He was like, oh, cool. I was like, that's kind of fun. Guenther griddying is objectively funny.
Right.
And he's like, no, cool.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, Guenther. Yeah, maybe you have to give me lessons. Anyway, he could not have given a fuck. I was like, damn. Tough crowd. Could not even pretend to care. I'm like, yeah, well, he barely cares when he wins a race. Why do you think he's going to care when you show
him
is griddying? So yeah, I think he's going to be a tough crowd. I mean, it's tough because I remember with my father, I would do things and he would go, yeah, great. And it took me like a long time to realize he was just humoring me. I think it's going to take that kid a very short time to realize her.
Sure, yeah. There's not a ton of bedside manner there with Oscar. Though I do think, here's the way I think that Oscar will show up for you as a dad. It's going to be in the little things. It's going to be
acts of service.
Acts of service. It might even be like a gift, like a thoughtful thing. Oh, I brought this back for you. You know, he will show his love for you, but it will be in ways that are not directly seen on the surface. Let's do one or two more drivers.
He's not going to be late for shit. He's not going to be late to pick you up. He's going to be to every softball game.
Yes, he'll be silent but present, as the man that you read the article about. Let's see. Let's do some other drivers.
That took a left turn.
George Russell.
He's going to be a cringe dad. Oh my God.
He's going
to be the most
dad jokes
humiliating
galore. Dad. He's going to be like, let me learn you dance. Let me learn you dance. Let me do the Dougie.
He's giving Amy Poehler in Mean Girls.
Yeah. The dad
want to be
of
one of the friends. Want to be, I'd rather, these don't have alcohol in them, but they could. Yeah.
Right.
I'd rather you do it in the house. He's got.
He'll tell the dog.
Jenny says he's got the grill. He's got the apron for the grill. Best dad ever.
You see him with tongs. I just see him standing there with an apron and a couple tongs, and he's going to be giving you advice about life. He's going to be like He's going to be like really wanting to know your friends. Oh, how's it going? Oh, isn't that lovely? Yeah. Oh, great. He's just going to be like, all right, Dad, enough.
Fake intimidating. If he's got a daughter, he's definitely going to fake intimidate the boyfriend.
Yes.
Like faux intimidate.
And then break it with like a
hands off.
Yeah.
Hands off. Have her back by 10 or I'll come looking.
Hands where I can see him. Hands where I can see him. He'll tell the waiter, did we enjoy everything? And he'll say, no, we hated it. And because the plates are empty, one of those.
Yeah.
All right, and last dad, Yuki Tsunoda. Perfect in every way.
Yeah, it's gonna be a happy home. It's gonna be a chaotic home.
It's gonna be a playful home, a happy home, a home with great food. Will it be organized? Absolutely not. Hopefully his partner can pick up the slack when it comes to that.
There will be moments, things will be forgotten. Things will be left at home.
Yes.
There will be.
You're going to have to turn around a few times 20 minutes into the drive. We're going to have to turn around a couple times.
There will be those moments that the son or daughter will go, why can't I just be at a normal house?
Yeah.
Why can't I just have a normal family?
Yeah.
But then at the end of that movie, she realizes that the eccentricities of her crazy father are what make them special.
Right. All right. We got this from George.
What's up, Venkas? This is George from Orange County, California. Just wanted to ask, when are we going to see you boys doing a hot lap? I know $15K is the price I've been seeing on the streets, but I'm sure Mr. Guenther Steiner can get the hookups. I think that'd be a great piece of content that everyone would want to see.
That's in New York.
Much love to you guys. Keep up the awesome work.
I think.
All right, this guy sounds a lot more like our demo.
Yeah. George is our
from
guy.
Orange County. Sounds high off his ass.
He's like, he knows exactly how much a hot lap costs and says, you can get around that. 15K is wild. I didn't realize that. Well, I did a hot lap in Miami with Aston Martin. Got that arranged. We've done a couple of, we did in Indy, we did the two-seater.
Yep.
And thought that was fun and intense, but there's something doing it in a regular car where all you have is the regular seatbelt was wild. I was expecting it to not be that crazy, and I get in there because I'm in there with the medical driver, this guy who, like, if the medical car needs to come onto the track, this is the guy who drives it. So I'm like, oh, we're chilling. We're also in an SUV. We're not in like a sports car. We're in like a souped up SUV. So I'm like, all right.
So you were judging it a little bit.
I was like, this isn't going to be that crazy. Like, this will be fun, I guess, but this won't be that crazy. This was so intense. I was even the first stop, because you go up.
Did you see Ruth Buscombe and she was throwing a little shade at it?
Yeah, Ruth was like, oh, there's better, like you're not going to be in the real souped up cars, like these, the real kind of souped up sports cars. And George Russell was driving people around. Kimi Antonelli was doing hot laps. Valtteri Bottas.
Could you imagine if I got into one of us got in and it was like Esteban Ocon or something, and it was
yeah.
It's just a fucking. That's a nightmare. That's nightmare sauce right there.
Yeah, that's what we got. We got to get that going. Is us in a hot lap with a driver that we've talked shit about. But I was thrown around that car. I was like, am I about to have a heart attack? Because like, I just felt my organs flailing around.
So it was more intense than the IndyCar one.
Yeah, but I think because the IndyCar one, we were strapped in. So we were like one with the car at that point. This is like you're so loosely strapped in that you're like literally banging into the side of the car. So in that way,
but
this
the
one was
the
more
IndyCar one.
intense.
It's just like you just feel like a newborn baby. Your head is just like flying all over the place.
Yeah. It was the head was more intense. I didn't feel it so much on my neck as I just felt like it was really like my core was
your
like,
whole
oh
body.
my God.
Yeah,
it was the whole body being thrown on. No, it was so fun. At some point, we'll post a video of it. Maybe we'll throw the full video on Patreon. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/TRFpod. But no, it was a great time. And Matt had a migraine, so he didn't come. So
I should have done it, but I wasn't feeling well.
Yeah,
I did some networking.
You did some networking. Also, the process of like you have to like wait in this. It's like going on like a roller coaster ride where like there's like the medium, there's like the inter room where they like tell you the rules of the thing, like strap yourself in here. So like you're kind of like sardines, like waiting in this room while like this video plays and it tells you like what to do and what the process is going to be. So that was kind of not so fun. But no, the actual hot lap was a great time. We'll post the video at some point soon. Okay, we'll do one more question and then make our way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and we'll be homebound. All right, we got our last question here.
Hi, my name is Liz. I've been really dying to ask which of like the kind of like fans do the guys like think are the worst other than the Carlos Sainz fans? Like we know you hate the Carlos Sainz fans, but if you had to rank the fans, like who would be the best fan of all time? Thank you.
All right. Best fans, obviously, Yuki fans.
Yuki Tsunoda fans. Just toxic in a positive way.
The thing with being a fan and what makes a great fan is that you have to be like Delulu, but also somewhat you have to know that you're Delulu.
Yes.
So like Yuki fans have like a self-awareness about their fandom for Yuki. They don't get too high on their own supply. They just like love him and want him to do well, but they don't have like some huge, misunderstanding about like who he is and what he's capable of. We hope for the best.
I think that I do. Probably.
No, but we do. But even in that, there's like an awareness. Like Yuki Tsunoda is the greatest driver on the grid, obviously.
But we understand. We also understand that it's a bit of a ludicrous stance,
right? That's
like
where you get
if
into
Lewis Hamilton replaced Yuki Tsunoda, I would be like, all right, I get it. I'm upset, but I get it.
Right. So
if Red Bull hired Lewis Hamilton and replaced Yuki Tsunoda, I'd be like, yeah, it's tough. It's really tough for.
And that's what I think. I think what makes a great fan is like you're Delulu, but you're aware that you're Delulu. And I think
you're aware. Also, you're aware of You're also aware of their faults.
Right.
You have to be aware of their faults. That's why Lando Norris fans really piss me off.
Right.
But here's the tough thing about Lando is because I think some of his I hesitate to call them faults because you mean being vulnerable? You mean being candid and real? You call those faults? I think it's tough with him because
right.
I think some of the things that people would call faults, they would call virtues. But I'm like, look at the results.
Clutch under pressure is not a virtue. Like not being clutch is not a virtue. And you could describe it in whatever. I'm a huge Lando fan, but I'm not baffled by. I don't think he's above criticism. I don't think he's above reproach. I can be aware of the fact that he is not up to snuff in X, Y, or Z area.
Right, but you can draw a straight line from the way he behaves in interviews and the way he talks on the radio.
Right.
You can draw to
the performance.
Can you prove causation? No, but there's a heavy correlation between the way he talks about himself.
Right.
I mean, also Oscar's just tough. Like he's the opposite in the way he talks about himself and the way he conducts his business, and he just doesn't seem to. He seems to be the opposites in terms of.
I like Oscar fans so far. I'm loving Oscar fans. Seem to have a fun vibe.
Right.
They don't seem so self-serious. They're like aware that he's kind of like an odd duck, They kind of like that about him.
Yeah, who are the most? I like Leclerc fans. There's a martyrdom to the Leclerc fan.
Yes,
that's kind of there's a suffering baked into there. You
right.
Whereas I think Lando fans, they kind of fetishize his vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
I think Leclerc fans, they sort of fetishize the suffering, which I think is
right. Yeah.
ultimately more fun.
Yeah.
Like it's a more woe is me Christ on a cross complex, which I could get behind. To love Leclerc is to suffer. It's like loving the Mets or loving the White Sox.
Yes.
Or a lot of people are talking about how the Pope actually doesn't love the Cubs. He loves the White Sox, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" You know, Chicago got a Pope before they got before the fucking White Sox could fucking turn the shit around. You know?
Yeah.
Right. Because the White Sox are this like cursed franchise. So yeah, I think Leclerc fans are pretty awesome. I'm just saying the drivers that I like.
Well, I think
Ocon fans tend to be fucking nerds.
Yeah.
He actually beat Alonso in the points that 1 year. It's like, well, actually, if you look at his teammate battles, it's actually pretty rough for him. I wouldn't play that game. Max fans can be tough.
Yeah, at times I like Max fans, and then other times I'm like, what is going on? I think there's an overcorrection with Max fans. I think Max fans feel like Max is so unjustly criticized in this way that then they're like, wait, but there are things, like, he's not above reproach. I understand that, like, you think that he gets too much criticism, but when they're just like, Max is the nicest guy that's ever existed. He's never done anything. Like, we've said that he bullies people on track, and they're like, bullies? What do you mean by bullies? What do you mean bully? You mean race perfectly? And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is what I'm not even saying it as a bad thing.
No.
But he bullies people on track. That's what he does.
Right. They have to, your driver, a lot of these fans, they can't admit that their driver does anything wrong.
Right.
The driver, or that their driver does anything outside of the norm.
Lewis fans absolutely fall into that category. There's definitely, I think it's an interesting.
He's still setting up the car.
Yeah.
He's still working on the car. He's still setting it up. You know,
right?
Remember, George was getting a better. I mean, they're always
right.
Fucking. It's always fucking something with Lewis in the car, and it's just, it's just not working.
Right.
But I would say, I mean, every fan base is annoying except the Yuki fan base.
Yeah, I think what we've come to, what we realize is that what makes a great fan, we've already said it here, but it's just like, you gotta love your driver for sure, but don't be like shocked when people don't like them for some reason. Like, it's the level, it's like the incredulousness. What? Carlos Sainz is actually the better driver. How dare you replace him with Lewis Hamilton? Lando Norris has never done anything wrong. Actually, Lando, if you actually look at his starts, he actually doesn't mess up starts, and he's faster in all these ways, and it's actually him being vulnerable, which is actually a good thing. Okay.
And there's this narrative around Lando Norris. It's like, this is what's best for him. This is what works for him.
Right.
It's like, is it what works?
Right.
Or, it's gotten him this far, but what's going to get him? Like Michael Jordan hit a wall with the Detroit Pistons and then had to fucking figure out a new way, right? They had the Jordan rules. They're like, this is how we're going to beat Jordan. And they fucking beat Jordan twice. And then Jordan went back to the lab and figured out what he needed to. He changed.
Yes.
He adapted.
Can I also
he fucking lifted weights.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, you know what? I can dunk from the free throw line. I'm a freak athlete. I've got all these skills. I don't need to change. This is what works for. No, he fucking changed, and then he became the Jordan that we all know.
Can I just say that there's a level there's all this talk around the fandom and F1 fans and whether they're toxic or not and all this stuff. I'm watching the NBA playoffs right now. And
oh my God. Could you imagine if Lando was on the Celtics right now?
Dude,
could you imagine if Lando was in Madison Square Garden?
It's insane. Dude, Jalen Brunson was in Detroit, in Boston, and they're chanting, "Fuck you, Brunson, duh, 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 fuck you, Brunson." And then after in the press conference, he goes, or I think Thibodeau said, "Oh, Jalen just hears those as cheers. That's just cheers to Jalen." It's like, dude, you see what it's like to play in Serbia. You know, they asked Nikola Jokic. They said, like, is playoff basketball, like, is the atmosphere like too intense? Like, how intense is it playing playoff basketball? And he goes, I played in Serbia. You see what they do in Serbia. They're all chanting and jumping and screaming at each other. I mean, like, fandoms, like, I understand a lot of it's an individual sport and it's like a lot of it happens on the internet, but like they don't actually like see it in real life.
They don't engage with the riffraff. It's the most 1%er sport because they're in this little car that zips by so fast they can't even.
Right.
They experience the fandom like Jeff Bezos experiences regular people.
Yeah.
Like they're so disconnected from it.
Right.
I mean, it's only because of the internet that they can actually, if they choose to engage with it, they can, right? If they pick up their phone and they go on Instagram, I might come up.
They can see people like making memes and like doing memes about like how they're not doing. It's like there's a difference between like making memes and there's a guy screaming that you're a fucking bitch and a loser and fuck you.
No,
fuck you.
No, they're in the blue or they're in the Blue
crazy.
Origin flight. They're completely disconnected relative to the NBA players who have to sit in a cramped stadium and get yelled at. I mean, there are these TikToks of like NBA play of like all the New York Knicks fans. After the second defeat, everyone's saying like, "Oh my God, New York is going to burn to the ground." If they win tonight, New York is going to burn to the ground. I mean, the things they were saying about the Celtics players, there was one guy that was like, Jason Tatum sleeps with his mother. He's a bitch. Like some of these insults. He sleeps with his mother. He's a bitch. I was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Dude, after we beat the Hawks one year, everyone was just screaming, "Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young! Fuck Trae Young!" I mean, there's levels to this shit. So as much as like there's all this discourse around the fandoms and whatever, all of it is online. It's fucking Twitter fingers, and B, like these guys in these other sports that have to actually deal with the riff. I'm taking a free throw, and everyone in this stadium is chanting "fuck you." It's just it's different levels to this shit.
Yeah, could you imagine if Lando had to shoot free throws?
It's
crazy. Or in college basketball, how crazy that environment is,
dude. Soccer, football hooligans, fucking the craziness there. I mean,
and the racial slurs a lot of these guys have to. I mean, deal with.
It gets in. Really crosses tons of lines. Even though that just happened to Draymond Green, the dude got kicked out. Like he got a guy kicked out because he was screaming shit at him. Which Lewis has had to deal with some of that. Like Lewis is actually kind of like one of the drivers that actually had to like deal with the reality of some of that shit.
In Spain.
So he's had to deal with more of that shit, and he's clutch under pressure. It's just like as much as the F1 fan base people want to think is toxic. It's fucking nothing compared to these other sports.
It's golf. It's golf compared to what these other athletes deal with.
Yeah. All right. That does it for us, Venkas. Please subscribe to the podcast if you are not. Wherever you're listening, make sure that you are subscribed. Also, give us a 5-star rating on fucking Apple Podcasts, because we don't have enough reviews there. So if you listen every week on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating, write us a review. It'll help us chart and all that good stuff. One more shout out to we got the fantasy league going on right now. If you are in the Patreon, you can join it. Even though it's late, you can still join it if you're a Patreon member. Right now, our leading 3 people are, we've got Trevor at Stroke on My Toto, Jesus. Hey, you can come up with a fun name. Stroke on My Toto. That's a good one. He's in first. We've got Harry at Cool Team 1 in second. And Jeans Rockstar, who actually won our league last year, who is currently a daddy. Maybe he's going to go for the fucking repeat on some Max Verstappen shit. Those are our top 3. So if you want to join the Patreon and join the Fantasy League, see if you can make your way up to a podium position, you can do that now at patreon.com/TRFpod. And of course, we got to thank our daddies of the pod. This pod would not be possible without them. We got to thank Kayla, Robin, Jordan Texera, Jay Lingle, Spencer Grieve, Javier Mera, Sheila Valeri, Chandler, Ali Santana, Carla Juarlo, Kimberly Whalen, Alonso of My Face 69, Donya Denad, Deadbeat Daddy Muhammad, Jimmy, Kimmy, sponsored by Mommy of the Pod, Hollister 584, Delusional Science Fan, Kat, Future Dog Tour Dion, Steph Grossi, JB Fresh, Laura, Emily Gillenwater, Cody Hull is my F1 daddy, Branch W, keep up the signs hate, Hunter Scruggs, Salmonella Mozzarella, I'm a Leclerc fan, and yes, it hurts. Jay Kess, George Russell is evil Peter Parker from Spider-Man 3. Matt Edwards was always right. I wish I was Max and Danny's love child. Delaney Andrews, Henry Caskey, Miles Lewis Alexander, the real Toto Wolff, Meggie B, Kaylee Breyer, E with a Y, Aaron Fiber, Devin, a.k.a. the future Dr. Sullivan's PA, Courtney Frazier, Yuki Sonoda's other mother, Jenny is the reason I am a daddy, Megan, Aaron, Pineapple the Y, Matt has a secret boner for Carlos Sainz, unfortunately, it's Gary, Carolina, my name is AJ and fuck the HOA, K-Mag can fuck smash my door any day, the official F1 race program and its executive editor, Sarah, I got tickled by the Tifosi, hey Jet, good luck out there, Allison Sane, Zhuge, F1 Dude Company, Trent Slickman, Code Brown Sonoda, Jerome Ferreira, Colapinto is a fraud, Aaron, Shahid, Jeans Rockster, Chohun, this is our last winner of the F1 Fantasy. Could be there for another year. Shake and Bake, Catalick My Balls, Stay Fierce, Charles Leclerc, Truth Bringer, and of course our honorary daddy of the pod this week, every week, Nicole Piastri. We love you, Vankas. See you next time.
Goodbye, Vankas.